The Young and the Restless. Spoilers. Welcome back to our channel, you guys. Today is a beautiful Friday, and we are diving headfirst into the absolute madness that is going down in Genoa City. Grab your coffee, maybe something stronger, because we have a lot to unpack today. It's been a wild week, and honestly, we need to talk about this Abbott family disaster before my head explodes. So let's just get right into it, because the writers have officially lost their minds, and I mean that in the best and worst way possible. We all knew that Jack and Kyle were not just going to sit around while Diane was missing. I mean, they've been frantic for weeks now. Diane has just been gone, vanished into thin air, and we, the fans, have been screaming at our screens. We knew she was trapped in that creepy barred room with Dr. Lawrence Markham, and we knew Patty Williams was pulling the strings. Patty, just saying her name gives me chills, you guys. We've been watching Patty blackmail Jack, demanding that he sleep with her, trying to recreate that twisted magic they had on the yacht years ago. It's sick. It's completely sick. But Jack Abbott, being Jack Abbott, always thinks he can outsmart the devil. And Kyle, Kyle. Let's talk about Kyle for a second. This kid has been through the ringer. He defended his mother to Detective Burrow. He swore she wouldn't just run off, and he was right. He has been desperate. So when Jack and Kyle finally put the pieces together and came up with this perfect plan to rescue Diane, part of me was cheering. I was like, yes, finally, the Abbott men are taking action. They are going to storm the castle and save the damsel in distress. But another part of me, the part that has been covering this show for way too long, just knew it was going to blow up in their faces, because perfect plans on the Young and the Restless, they don't exist. They just don't. Let's talk about the drive over there. Jack and Kyle in the car, speeding through the streets, zeroing in on that creepy house. The tension in that car must have been suffocating. Kyle gripping the dashboard, his jaw clenched, probably running through a million different scenarios in his head. Will she be hurt? Will she be okay? And Jack gripping the steering wheel, his knuckles white, carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. Jack always does this. He always internalizes everything. He probably told Kyle, don't worry, son, I've got this. We're going to get her back. Jack and his promises. It's a fatal flaw. He underestimates the crazy. He always underestimates Patty Williams, no matter how many times she proves that she has absolutely no boundaries. Let's zoom out for a second and look at Diane's side of things. Diane is a survivor. We all know this. She faked her own death, for crying out loud. So, of course, she wasn't just going to sit in that weird barred room waiting to be saved. She took matters into her own hands. The show gave us this incredibly tense sequence where Diane somehow gets her hands on some sleeping pills. Maybe she hoarded them from the meals Markham was giving her, or maybe she swiped them when he wasn't looking. But she had this plan to drug him, and honestly, it was a good plan. It was classic Diane. Can you imagine the sheer terror she must have been feeling? She is locked in a room with barred windows. She knows nobody knows where she is. She is completely isolated. So she formulates this plan. She probably crushed the pills up, hiding them in her pocket, waiting for the perfect moment. When Markham brought her water or tea, she waited for him to turn his back. Just a split second, the adrenaline must have been making her hand shake. She drops the powder in. She stirs it. She smiles at him. Diane Jenkins, the master manipulator, trying to out-manipulate a psychopathic doctor. It's a game of chess, but she didn't realize he was playing 3D chess. So she slips the pills into Markham's drink, and we watch as he takes the glass, he lifts it to his mouth. He drinks it. And Diane is just standing there, trying to keep her face neutral, waiting for him to pass out so she can grab his keys and run. And he slumps over. He actually slumps over. For a hot second, I was sitting here at my desk, literally cheering. I was like, she did it. She actually did it. The relief, the sheer overwhelming relief that she was going to get out of there. But no, 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 because Dr. Lawrence Markham is not just some random corrupt doctor. A lot of us on social media are still convinced he's actually Martin Laura with a surgically altered face, and if that's true, he's a master manipulator. Markham was faking it. He didn't swallow the drink. Well, he knew what she was doing all along. He was just playing with her, like a cat playing with a mouse before it bites its head off. It's so twisted. And just as Diane is reaching for the keys, just as she thinks she has won, the trap snaps shut. Markham is wide awake, and Diane realizes she is completely, utterly doomed. It's devastating to watch. You can see the hope just drain right out of her eyes. And right at that exact moment, right when everything is falling apart for Diane inside the house, Jack and Kyle arrive outside. They execute their perfect plan. They bust into the house. They just bust right in. No police, no backup, because Jack Abbott always has to be the hero. What were they thinking? Seriously, who actually believes this is going to end well without the cops? But they rush in, adrenaline pumping, completely desperate to find Diane. When Jack and Kyle finally hit that door, I want you to really picture the scene. The house is probably dead quiet, too quiet. That should have been their first clue. When you walk into a hostage situation and there is no noise, no guards, no nothing, it's a trap. But they were too blind to see it. They tear through the house and they find the room. They see her. Diane is in there, behind those heavy metal bars on the door. The sheer panic on Jack's face, the absolute terror on Kyle's face when they see her locked up like an animal. It's incredible acting, honestly. The raw emotion. Kyle is yelling for his mother. Jack is frantically pulling at the door handle, trying to break the door down. They are throwing their entire body weight against the wood and the metal. It's chaotic. It's loud. It's messy. Just a total desperate scramble. But then the bottom drops out. Because while Jack and Kyle are completely focused on the door, completely blinded by their need to get Diane out, they don't check their corners. They don't look around. And stepping right out of the shadows, like literal nightmares walking into the light, are Dr. Markham and Patty Williams. Patty freaking Williams. Let's talk about Patty's demeanor. She probably looked completely normal, which makes it even more terrifying. The banality of evil, right? She is standing there, and she looks so smug, so completely unhinged and smug, and they are not empty-handed. Both Patty and Markham are holding guns. They raise their weapons, pointing them right at the Abbott men. The trap wasn't just for Diane. The trap was for Jack and Kyle, too. They walked right into it. They walked right into the spider's web. I need to pause here because the psychology of this is just wild. Patty has been obsessed with Jack for decades. She poisoned Summer. She's done horrible things, all because she feels abandoned and rejected. And now she has Jack exactly where she wants him. She has the power. And Markham, with that cold, clinical stare, he doesn't even look angry. He just looks bored, like shooting the Abbott heir is just another item on his to-do list for the day. Maybe I'm being too harsh on the writers sometimes, but this setup, it's brilliant, it's terrifying, but it's brilliant. Okay, that sounded dramatic, but you get what I mean. So There's this standoff. Jack freezes. Kyle freezes. Diane is screaming from behind the bars, begging them not to shoot. The tension is so thick, you could cut it with a knife. Jack tries to talk Patty down. You know he does. He uses that smooth, pleading Jack Abbott voice, trying to tell her that they can work this out, that nobody has to get hurt. But Patty isn't listening to reason. She's in her own delusional world. And Kyle, hot-headed, fiercely protective Kyle, he makes a move. Maybe he lunges, maybe he just shifts his weight, but he does something that sets them off. And then, bang, a gunshot rings out. It's so loud it makes you jump out of your seat. And everything just goes into slow motion. The show does that thing where the sound drops out and all you hear is this high-pitched ringing, and you just watch as Kyle's body jerks. He's been hit. Kyle Abbott has been shot. When the gun goes off, the staging is so crucial. Did Kyle jump in front of Jack? Did Patty aim for Jack and Kyle took the bullet? Or did Patty aim for Kyle specifically to hurt Jack in the worst way possible? Knowing Patty, she wants Jack to suffer. She wants him to feel the pain of loss, so he'll turn to her for comfort. It's a sick, twisted, broken logic, but it's exactly how her mind works. So she pulls the trigger. He crumples to the floor. It's not a clean Hollywood fall. It's messy. He just collapses, grabbing his chest or his stomach. There's so much blood. It's everywhere. The blood pooling on the floorboards, the copper smell of it in the air. Kyle gasping for breath, his eyes wide with shock. And the silence after the gunshot is broken by the most gut-wrenching primal scream I have ever heard on daytime television. It's Diane. Somehow, in the chaos, maybe the door gets unlocked, or maybe she reaches through the bars, but Diane is suddenly right there. She drops to her knees. She pulls Kyle's lifeless-looking body into her arms. I cannot emphasize enough how haunting that scream was. It wasn't just a cry of fear. It was the sound of a mother's soul ripping in half. She throws herself onto him. She doesn't care about the guns anymore. She doesn't care if Patty shoots the next. All she cares about is her baby boy. She is hugging her son's body, her hands covered in his blood, and she is just wailing, screaming for help, screaming his name, crying so loudly it actually hurts to listen to. It's the kind of acting that wins Emmys, you guys. Susan Walters is just giving it everything she has. The absolute devastation of a mother holding her bleeding child, pressing her hands to the wound, trying to stop the bleeding, the red staining her clothes, her hands, her face. And Jack, oh my God, Jack. The camera panning to his face is going to be the thumbnail for every soap opera blog for the next month. His eyes are hollow. The man who always has a plan, the man who thought he could outsmart Patty Williams, is just watching his son bleed out on the floor of a madman's house. The realization that his hubris, his need to handle things himself, has resulted in this. If he had just called Detective Burrow, if he had just swallowed his pride and gone to the police, they would have had a SWAT team there. But no, Jack had to do it the Jack way. His perfect plan got his son shot, the guilt on his face. It's going to destroy him. It really is. But here is the real question, the thing that is going to keep us all awake until the next episode. What happens now? Kyle is severely injured. He needs a hospital immediately. But Markham is a doctor, a corrupt, evil doctor, but still a doctor. Are Patty and Markham going to let them leave? Not a chance. Not a single chance. They have the guns. They have the power. Are Jack, Diane, and a bleeding Kyle going to be locked up in that room together? Are they all hostages now? Because if they are, Kyle is going to die. He's going to bleed to death on that dirty floor while Jack and Diane watch. And honestly, I don't know if the fans can handle that. Social media is already melting down. I was scrolling through Twitter right before I started writing this, and people are furious. They are terrified for Kyle. They are screaming at Jack for not calling the police. I mean, we all love the drama, but this is dark. This is really, really dark for Y&R. Sometimes I look at the bigger pattern of this show. They love to push the Abbotts to the absolute brink. Think about everything Jack has lost. Think about the tragedies. But losing Kyle, or even just the trauma of Kyle almost dying in Diane's arms, that changes the fabric of the family forever. It changes Jack. It changed Diane. If Kyle survives this, and let's pray he does, because I cannot deal with a funeral storyline right now. He is going to be so traumatized. What if Kyle needs a blood transfusion? What if he slips into a coma? What if this is the exit storyline for the actor? No, they wouldn't do that. They can't do that. The fans would absolutely riot. The social media backlash would be apocalyptic. But the writers have been taking some massive swings lately. I mean, look at what they are doing to Nikki. Victor is literally stealing her company while she's drugged out of her mind. The show is in this really dark, gritty era right now, and nobody is safe. If they're locked up, imagine the dynamic Diane, Jack, and a dying Kyle locked in that barred room. Patty taunting them from the other side of the door. Markham refusing to give Kyle medical attention unless Jack does whatever Patty wants. It's going to be a pressure cooker of trauma. They are going to have to perform some kind of makeshift surgery, or Jack is going to have to make a literal deal with the devil to save his son's life. And what about Patty? What is her end game here? She shoots Jack's son, and she thinks Jack is still going to want to be with her. The delusion is actually staggering. She is so far gone. And Markham, he's just standing there letting this happen. It really makes me think he is Martin Laurent, because only Martin would enjoy this level of psychological and physical torture. So, yeah, I'm sitting here just typing furiously, trying to get all these thoughts out before my deadline, and I am just a mess. My heart is pounding. The image of Diane rocking Kyle's bleeding body back and forth, sobbing into his hair, is going to be burned into my brain for a long time. It's clunky, it's chaotic, but man, it is compelling television. I am so stressed out just typing this. My coffee's cold, my hands are cramping, but I had to get this out to you guys. This is the kind of soap opera television that we live for, even when it hurts, even when it makes us want to throw our remotes at the screen. But seriously, the writers need to give us a break. Just a tiny break. We have Nikki being drugged and robbed blind by Victor over at the Newman Ranch, Sally losing her baby and crashing her car, Nick being a drug addict, and now Kyle getting gunned down by Patty Williams. It's too much. It's all too much. But am I going to be glued to my TV tomorrow? Yes, obviously. Yes, the Abbotts are broken. The perfect plan was a fatal mistake, and Genoa City is never going to be the same. So what do you guys think? Is Kyle going to make it? Are they all going to be locked in that room? Who is going to save them now that Jack's perfect plan has completely failed? Tati? Is Tracy going to figure it out and call the cops? Let me know, because I need to talk about this with people who understand. I'm exhausted, I'm stressed, but I am so invested. Until next time, keep your fingers crossed for Kyle Abbott, because he is going to need a miracle.